Welcome back to another video. This is going to be an unusual one. It's going to be the full coverage of the live stream that Gun Interactive just had about the upcoming patch and everything, and there are some incredibly exciting news. So let's get into it and discuss it down in the comments afterwards. All right, let's go.
There we go. How's it going, everybody?
Hi.
Those of you who don't know me, my name is Matt. I'm your brand strategy. There you go. We got lower thirds and everything. I'm your brand strategy lead here at Gun, and I'm joined by...
Hey, everyone. I'm Sid. I'm the community manager here at Gun. Welcome.
And if
Thanks.
you have been kind of keeping up with some of the chatter on socials and things like that, we've been talking a bit about wanting to run this stream to give you guys a little more context.
Oh man, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this.
Patch, you know, the big patch.
Maybe we'll get the date.
We've got our friend here.
Oh, there's Nugget.
Say,
Honorary.
we need that
The
Nugget
honorary
so
Nugget.
We've got Nugget. We're all
Let's
good.
go.
I think we're all set. How do we sound? Hopefully everything
sound
lights, you know, audio, we're all good to roll. But like I said, we have a couple of items on our list that we want to run through. We felt
Nice.
they were important enough to, you know, spend a little more time talking about them and give you guys a little more context on what exactly we're doing with this big patch outside of the Muerto times.
I wonder if
But
we'll get the date.
we also felt that running a second Muerto times might confuse the messaging. We know you guys expect to see the times and then see the patch, and then we're rolling, we're rocking, we're doing our thing.
That's
So,
true.
we figured let's give this desk setup a run, which, as you can see, this is our desk setup.
Well,
This is where
it
we
looks
do
professional.
This is very,
Not
very
gonna
important
lie.
business goes on here.
Looks good.
We wanted to give the desk setup a trial run and talk over some of these things. So we will get some questions from chat and all of that. I'll be keeping an eye on chat
Awesome.
here, and we'll try to tackle a few of those at, you know, more toward the end of the stream. But before we go too far, Sid, why don't you jump in with our first list item?
Yeah, I'm going to start off.
All right,
And
let's go.
So one of the first changes that y'all are going to be able to see is that victims are now going to start off with a 60-second cooldown on their abilities at the start of a match.
What?
This change is brought to you by just us wanting to kind of incentivize stealth play and trying to stop
Oh
some of the
my.
push meta that we've seen in game.
Yeah, you know, I would say that
That's
one
very
of the coolest
interesting.
things about this change, though, also is the basement gameplay is going to see a lot of differences after this patch goes live. You know, if you tuned into the last stream, you know that
That is gonna
the
make some
Leatherface
people
requirement is
second
being lifted.
guess
Now,
their
obviously,
decisions
you know,
down
you can
there.
still choose Leatherface, and you might start in the basement. But we did see a lot of questions actually from people saying, you know, will that change who starts in the basement? Will another family member be in the basement? And that's not the case. The situation with Leatherface not being required, the game stays the same. So
Awesome.
you have an opportunity there where if you so choose, you might bring a different, you know, cast of characters to the family side. This change also could see that, you know, that would obviously impact basement gameplay. This change is going to impact basement gameplay.
Oh, for sure.
It's basically a little cooldown that's going to give you a little buffer room on how soon those Connies are popping locks or Lelands are throwing shoulders into people or, you know.
That brings me to the next point that I've got to make, and it's that noise is now going to start to follow victims for a few seconds. So
What?
when you are spamming that toolbox, when you're going through that bone pile, when you're running through bone charms, if you set off a nugget,
There you go.
if you slam a door,
All right, to me, that's a bit of a
those
weird
noise things
change.
will follow you for a little bit.
This was
I
interesting.
mean, if you're making noise 2
one of the
meters
things that I think
away,
is bears mentioning here.
the noise doesn't really
all
follow
of the
you,
noise
does it?
right now that you make, aside from, say, you know, coughing over sissy poison or things like that, all of the noise that you make kind of stays where you made the noise. And so we were seeing a lot of things with sandbagging teammates. You know, you run through, you grab something real quick, and then your other stealthy teammate is standing there like, what the hell, man? You kind of brought him to me. So now that noise ping is going to stick to you a little bit.
Oh, that has happened a few
So,
times, though.
If you sprint through bone charms, you used to be able to sprint through the bone charms and then that was it. The noise would kind of stay there. A good Leatherface knows where you might have been, or a good family member knows where you might go from there, but
What do you guys think about this?
it didn't stick
Let me know in the
that
comments. Do you
well.
think that is a
And I
nerf
think
to
that's gonna really
victims?
change how that all plays.
Yeah, again, we're just trying to kind of incentivize stealth where we
Yeah.
can. And if you
I
do
get
still want
that.
to rush, at least you'll know that these are some of the changes coming up.
And, you know, before we get into number 3, it's kind of like we discussed on the last stream where we talked about, you know, speedy play should be allowed. We're not trying to say you can't play speedy. If you choose to play fast, that's your call. It should be punishing, though, and this is part of that move toward, hey, stealth is rewarding and speedy is possible, viable, but there's punishments there.
I do agree on that.
All right. The next point I have is that victims will now stop leaving footprints for Johnny to follow if they're moving at the slowest
Oh
pace
man,
while
freaking
crouching,
finally,
which
let's
means
go.
if you're crouch walking, Johnny will no longer be able to see footsteps from you when he's using his tracking ability.
That
Well,
is awesome.
And again, just to contextualize a little bit, we talked about the change to the cook where he won't be able to hear you if you're crouched and you're moving slowly. So if you're crouched and you're moving at that walking pace, right? This kind of goes hand in hand with that. And again, there's a lot of victim mains out there who are probably already like, oh, victim nerfs, it's all victim nerfs. But this is somewhat of a nerf to the family side.
I can see the comments.
Similar to how the cook move is somewhat of a nerf to the cook. And again, the greater point here is this plays into that concept of playing stealthy is rewarding. So now you can avoid some of those kind of opportunities to get detected by, moving slowly, staying crouched, those kinds of things.
Yeah, we just want people to be able to
I mean,
play
with that
matches
1 minute
for a little
cooldown
bit
on your
longer.
abilities in the beginning of the game,
The next thing I have on the docket
that
is
is going
we're
to
actually
be going to be
changing the
such an
position
interesting
of
change to
detection
how
at
the game's
escape
played
gates.
early.
So what this means is that once a player has crossed the gate, it will now trigger as they've escaped. This change is to kind of help prevent players from being able to camp and teabag at exits from outside of the gate. We're looking at you, Slaughterhouse.
Yeah, and honestly, this is all directly Wes's fault because he refused to put the truck in that comes out and kills victims in the road randomly. So
Oh man, that would have
rather than
been
having them
so
dancing out there with
freaking
no truck
cool,
to run them
bro.
over,
Bring the truck.
similar to the bus I threw Wes under, there's
Bring the
there's gonna be,
truck, bro. We want the
the
truck.
escape volume is much closer to the gate. So like,
Can you
think
imagine
of,
running
gates on,
out
say,
there
Slaughterhouse are on the back,
and the
back
truck
exit
just
of Family
kills
House,
you?
where you have that long run out where they could go around the corner and hide and then do some trickery and they dance when Grandpa goes off and shit like that. That's going to be nipped in the bud. So the minute you step outside of that gate, you're beat.
Yeah, you're gone. So
Yeah.
do your sensual
Well,
teabagging.
that
Not
Yeah,
before
will
that.
make some teabaggers
Teabag inside the
escape
gate, that's all.
faster.
We're gonna
So
all
I
be
get that.
hacked.
I know.
For that.
Here, let me go into the next thing. Speaking of some changes, we're going to be making some improvements to gas station.
Okay.
We're now going to be changing where the fuse pickup locations are, so they're not going to spawn so close to the fuse box.
Okay,
And
okay.
we're pretty excited to see how that's going to play out in gameplay now, just because sometimes they'd spawn pretty close to one another, and it'd be not the way that we intended for that to play out.
I mean, the people were sharing straight up screenshots with us on Reddit where the fuse was here and directly across the walkway that was the fuse box, and it's like you could just grab the fuse and go straight to the fuse box, and that,
I mean,
these
that
are
smells
things that we
like Family
uncovered
House
with the
Attic as
help of
well,
you guys
though.
playing the game, hours and hours and hours.
It's exactly the same over there.
These random systems and things that place spawn locations and.
So do you
what
think
you're
they will
looking at
change
there
that
is a
inevitably on
system
Family House too
where
then?
The fuse box can spawn in a couple different locations. The fuses can spawn in a couple different locations, and every now and then they synchronize, and you get silly things like that. So with, millions, I guess at this point it's safe to say, of hours of gameplay, these are things that get uncovered. And so, this is more a bit of a maintenance one, but we did want to mention it because we had seen so many
I like it, though.
screenshots of people going, "Are you kidding? This is right here," and
It shouldn't be right next to where you
Yes.
pick it up.
makes it a little high profile.
Speaking of, I just want to shout out our subreddit, which you can join. Andy's not on this stream, but he is in chat, so you can give him a shout out.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy's hanging out in there. And we also have a Mighty Mel in the chat, too, handling some of the mod duties. So, and of course, we're joined by Rob, our producer, hanging out over there. He's pushing buttons and dials and levers and things. So,
What's up, you guys?
yeah, there you go. There's
Yeah,
Rob.
what's up, bro?
Basically, that whole idea of tuning little items like that with those fuse boxes, there's going to be a lot of those. That's not something that we're ever really going to kind of, maybe some point down the line we'll be done with. But for the most part, keep those things coming up. And if you can find screenshots, that's the most helpful thing because, again, we're talking about overlapping randomizers that kind of sync up every now and then. So send those screenshots into support.txchainsawgame.com. I see questions. Excuse me 1 second. I see questions. We're going to get to those. We have a couple more items to talk about. So don't think I'm ignoring you. I've actually made some mental notes about a few, and we'll talk about them in a minute.
I'm excited for the
All right,
questions.
the next thing, speaking of tuning,
Definitely gotta be
we're
shirtless
going to
Johnny.
be talking about Cook in this next point. We're changing how his ability charge ticks down.
Here we go.
So now the way that it's going to work is that it's going to tick down correctly while being actively used as opposed to just honing in and focusing in on a victim. And this is to help with Cook's spamming ability, which we
Nice.
saw plenty of, speaking in the subreddit of the...
Oh man, commercial time. I'm gonna cut that out for you guys.
Yeah, you know, the
Nice,
situation
that
with
is so
Cook,
welcoming.
Cook got a little bit of a change to his ability. You can crouch and walk and avoid it, but also there were a lot of people that kind of realized that if you pick up the sound ping and tell the direction, his ability doesn't start ticking away yet. So they could say to their friends, "Oh, they're over there. They're over that way. They're at the front gate. They're over there." It wasn't until he focused in that the, ability would start pulling, right? And that shouldn't be the case. If you're in that ability, there should be a drain there. So, again, I know it's somewhat of a Cook nerf, but once in a while we have to nerf the family too. I'm going to get attacked with that one too. I'm digging my own grave.
And again, all of this goes into, like, we want matches to be able to play out longer and more interestingly for some people, because we saw that a lot in their subreddit. And we just want to incentivize.
I welcome longer matches. Let's go.
Like strategic gameplay on both ends.
Yeah, playing with intent.
Yeah. And I have one last point to bring up, and then we'll kind of start going into chat.
All right.
And ask questions with
What is
you
it?
all. And
Is it the date?
so this is more of a fixing an issue. We fixed an issue where the All Victims Killed XP event would apply even when all victims had not been killed, so that means that family players will see a slight change in XP at the end of their matches compared to what you've been used to seeing. With that change, we just kind of wanted to make mention of that, just because it'll probably be noticeable, especially like the more that you've played. So we just wanted to be as transparent about that as possible.
Yeah, and I don't want anybody to panic over this. We did recently buff family XP values, and so that's awesome and working out great, and the feedback has been awesome about that. But it was kind of giving you a bonus for something you didn't do, so we kind of had to pull that one.
I agree.
That being said, I know there's going to be a lot of panic and people going, well, now family XP is going to be rough. Let's just keep talking and keep the lines of communication open, and we can obviously continue to evaluate that. So, the first question that I saw in chat that I feel we really should talk a little more about is in regards to how Leatherface plays now.
All right, here we go.
A lot of you are upset, worried, kind of concerned maybe about the Leatherface requirement. Others are, 100% behind the change, and that's great. But just to give a little more clarity on that, the requirement is lifted, but that doesn't mean that anything else in the game changes. Similar to how
I completely
you have to
agree.
have a cook in order to put an extra
I
padlock
do.
on. You have to have a hitchhiker for traps. If you choose not to run a Leatherface, the game is going to look the same as it did previously. That's the risk you're running by choosing not to run a Leatherface. Now, team composition, I know there's a lot of,
That confirms it.
I don't want to say high-level players.
Maps won't
players that have
change.
sunk
Barricades
a lot of
will
time
stay.
into their different family members outside of Leatherface. They are 100% confident running in there with Hitchhiker, Sissy, and Cook.
Infinite loops have been
There's gonna be other
created.
squads that need a Leatherface in order to make it happen. But part of this is it leaves a lot more to the team, the players, to choose what synergies they want to aim for. And I think that we made a mistake by talking a little too much about, oh, you're going to miss Leatherface. You are. I think you are going to miss Leatherface.
I
But
think so,
also
too.
think that there's a lot of synergies that you're going to be able to see now that maybe weren't possible before.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how matches play out now. It's going to be interesting to kind of be able to see in real time how the community and you all feel about being able to play these different
It's gotta be
matches and
super
different
fun with
runs
all the
different
comps coming
teams.
up. That's
as
true.
always, you can always talk to us in our subreddit. We see it, we listen to feedback, and we're going to be tuning along as we always say we will and do.
Yeah, nothing's ever permanent, too. Live games are fun like that. We can tinker, we can tune. But, the situation with Leatherface, so just to say it plainly, because I know some people are going to go, but you didn't really answer me. To say it plainly, barricades are still going to be there.
Knew it.
You will get looped on barricades, possibly.
Yes, sir.
Victims are trying not to die. That's going to happen. You're going to have to figure out ways around those barricades, like Hitchhiker Sissy. They can move through gaps and crawl spaces and things like that. But yeah, barricades are staying, and if you don't bring Leatherface, you might miss him.
I wonder if Nancy's
Another
going to
question
have
I
the
had seen
ability
was
to
about
deal with
Bomb
that.
Squad and perks in general. I saw a couple other questions about perks.
Probably not.
I
Since
just
they want
wanted
Leatherface
touch
to be
on that
played, right?
because there are going to be changes coming to perks. We have plans to tune up a lot of our perks in game, but we're kind of putting that all together into one perk-focused patch. It's a lot of P words, so I hope that the windscreen on my mic is holding out. we want to put together a perk patch where we're going to go through and look at, you know, a variety of either best in slot perks and evaluate those for potential changes. Some of the underutilized ones, are there perks that we need to, you know, consider removing and replacing? Are there
This
ones
is
that we
awesome.
just need to rework? And so there's been a lot of great feedback on Reddit, socials everywhere. I mean, you know, everywhere that you guys talk to us, there's been a lot of great feedback on which perks you enjoy, which ones you think are a little OP or a little underpowered, and which ones you feel are just flat out useless. We're taking all of that in. We're going to evaluate and put that together. But similar to how we told you guys, we're working on the big patch. We're working on a perk patch. That's not something that can really be, you know, snuck in here and there
I get
a line
that.
or two, because then
Instead
it
of
ends up
doing some
feeling-
fixes here and there.
it needs to be all encompassing, and it needs to be across the board, touch all the perks, rework some metagame things, and get that figured out. So yeah, Black Girl Victim when? Honestly, we answered this in our last stream. Really what it comes down to is the characters that we have they're designed, and as long as they you know, fit and make sense in the design, they go into the game. We don't really add characters off of like some checklist that we need to do, but we have a lot of cool things coming for characters. Speaking of,
I'm excited for
we have
characters.
Nancy and Danny coming to the game.
There we go.
Which, yeah.
Oh.
Hype?
We wanted to get the word out.
We're getting
We
the
also
date
have a new
now?
map coming. I think some of you guys picked that up. You saw a field of sunflowers, and I feel like you guys figured out what that meant. I'm
New map
shocked that I'm not
confirmed.
hearing a whole lot of questions about them, which I think is interesting. Oh, new map.
Oh,
There you go.
yeah,
There's
like
some.
chat's going on.
Yeah. Any update on the skill tree? Yeah. What particularly are you looking to hear about the skill tree? Because as I said just a moment ago, you know, we're going to be evaluating perks and things like that, trying to make sure that those separate branches.
I hope we
within
get
the skill
different
tree,
loadouts.
there's loadouts in there outside of just the one best in slot. So what I think we need to focus on most is making sure that there's a lot more viability in more than just a few perks in each loadout tree. But as far as that concept, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. We have talked a lot about people saying, let me have a loadout for each different branch of the skill tree. And as I put together an answer. I think Andy shared it with you guys on Reddit, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, if you go through and filter through our developer responses, you'll be able to see that.
Okay.
Any of our long form conversations, you know, if you want to go a little bit more in depth, that's like the best way to reach us. Even across our other socials, that's going to be the best way for us to be able to directly see exactly like any of your qualms, your feedback, and be able to kind of engage in like what we're kind of looking at and working on and stuff like that. As Matt said, we've got a lot of stuff on the docket, and looking at perks is one of them, and we're going to be honed in and focused on that in particular.
Yeah, and the nice thing about those developer responses is it's real easy to just see what we've kind of touched on. Skill trees being one of them. The concept of having a different loadout to each different skill tree, you'll notice that there's perks in each skill tree that you have to commit to. Just saying it plainly, you have to commit. I saw actually a really great comment on Reddit from somebody mentioning Bomb Squad. So if you go down the route to get Bomb Squad to face off, you know, you want to be able to combat hitchhiker traps. Being able to go, oh, there's no hitchhiker in here, so now undo all that and just throw on a different loadout. Those commitments to branches in the tree, in my mind, are kind of important. And so we're going to try and make sure that there's more in each branch to motivate builds. But here's a question. I'm assuming it's specifically for Sid.
So does that mean
favorite
we're not
Lana album?
Oh, yes.
It's okay,
I've
it's
got
okay.
I've got my
not gonna
LDR
have
jacket
presets
on.
when it comes to
That's a hard
threesome?
question. Born to Die is great, and Norman fucking Rockwell.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the name of the album. Probably my two favorite Lana albums, but I like everything by her. So thanks
about-
for asking.
Yeah, well, yeah, I saw it come through, and I was like, oh, we got to get that one. What about Russian language? I see that's confirmed coming. Sid, if you want to talk on that a bit. I think when can we expect to see that? I believe we've cleared that up.
I think it's very soon. We're gonna have some news on that.
It's very soon.
Maybe not this patch, but
I
maybe
think
our
it's Quality of Life
yeah.
2.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No,
there.
you're okay. I
think
just didn't
it's-
want to say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I believe it's going to be in our next upcoming patch. We've heard a lot of feedback on Russian and can I say the other one?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm really excited about this one. Portuguese.
Yeah.
It's in Portuguese. For Quality of
Cool.
Life 2. We're really excited to be able to share something like that with you all. We saw a lot of people asking for
But
that. so
Norwegian.
feels cool to. We're doing it.
Yeah, like we said, that's not necessarily this upcoming patch, but the patch after. And again, you know, you'll hear from us. We've got patch notes coming together. If you've seen the Muerto times, you've seen that there's over 250 fixes in this. So these patch notes are going to be a doozy. We're going to be putting those together and getting those published.
I can't wait.
Probably a little closer to the patch date. Which,
oh my god, the timing on this commercial, bro. I swear to God.
which is another cool thing we can talk about. We have a date for the patch.
Oh my god, here it is.
Give this good news.
Patch date.
November 28th.
Yeah.
It has been
Marketing and calendars.
confirmed. November
28th.
28th.
The patch. We have content. We have all kinds of fun stuff.
Content.
We also have our patch
everything.
notes coming just before
Let's
the 28th.
go.
We'll be sharing, you know, basically the full
That's fantastic.
list of 250 fixes. And like I said, that's kind of a doozy. It's going to take a little doing. Another important date to get out of the way. We will be out of office next week for the Thanksgiving holiday. So if our comms are a little more spotty, understand.
I
that
wonder if we're gonna
taking a
see
little
anything
break
of that
and
in game.
definitely
You guys
spending
think so?
Thanksgiving time.
That it'll be decorated?
That being said,
I don't think
though,
so.
you know, we will be coming
Wouldn't
back
be
and have
too much glory,
quite
but
a bit of work.
it would be
in order to
fun.
get those 250 fixes listed for you.
So instead
How
of
long
nugget,
will
we
it
got
take
turkey.
for us to update this patch? I'm not sure if you're asking about the patch size, but it's probably going to be a pretty big one. Shirtless Johnny release date.
Here we go.
Ooh. I don't think we can confirm a Shirtless Johnny release date, but it's coming.
Yeah,
So
it's coming.
it's promised.
Be on the lookout.
At least there's that. Yeah.
Couldn't be a Q&A without that
To
question.
use Nicotero chainsaw on my pretty woman skin. Ah, I see what you're saying. Being able to swap the chainsaw. You know, here's the thing with something like that. Nicotero being kind of a premium skin, we built him, you know, top down to be, you know, be a little unique, be a little more kind of individual. And so we wanted to kind of keep that skin unique to Nicotero Leatherface. Usually when you put a skin of that kind of tier out, you want to keep that stuff in one column. The reason the execution is universal, though, is because we knew that.
I agree on
those
that,
are the
though,
kind of
but
things
for
that
the future
they're
cosmetics,
not
will
more
you be
about-
able to swap it
more about the
around?
personality of the character than they are about the skin. But we hear your feedback on Nicotero Leatherface chainsaw. If there's any change to that, the best thing to do is talk to us. But, you know, remember, we're talking about video games here, and so let's keep the mood light and civil. But come at us and let us know, and we can certainly report on that. Can you give us more details on Danny, Nancy? I've seen that a few times. Thanks for the new merchandise.
Microphone bugged.
Really, you know, Danny and Nancy.
There we go.
What we can say, Danny and Nancy are going to be all new characters with. Lost your mic. Oh, my mic is lost.
Oh, did we lose?
I'm back.
Back.
Yeah, you've been back, bro.
My
It's all
bad.
good. It's all
A
good.
little bit of a mic problem. Again, we're
Continue.
running a new setup. We're going to get back to Danny and Nancy in a minute. We're running a new setup, and so there might be some things like that. So apologies, my mic cut.
I
out,
like the
but,
setup. It looks kind of professional.
So, Danny, Nancy, yeah. We can't really share too much at this time. What we do want to say, though, is they come with their own skill trees, which means their own kind of allotment of perks that go in there.
Awesome.
Some uniques and things like that.
Unique
They
perks.
come with their own new abilities. They're
Yes,
completely
sir.
different abilities. And yeah, you're going to hear more about them in the coming days. So they're
In the coming days, I'm looking forward to
that.
Guys. We have a much bigger detailed look at them coming very soon. So keep an eye out.
Oh, that's going to be so
all the
good.
usual places, socials,
We're-
our community hub, that kind of thing.
At TX Chainsaw Game.
Everywhere? Yeah, Rob, can we run the lower third? Because, yeah, why not? Rob might be in a little
Oh,
bit
the
of that.
tech
There you
guy.
go. At
There we
TX
go.
Chainsaw Game everywhere. So when we say keep talking to us, that's what we mean. How did Johnny get his face scar? He got his face scar in Pflugerville, fighting with some folks. You know, he was out doing Johnny things, and somebody
Figures.
kind of got the jump on him. The lore behind that, I believe, is on the hub
Yes.
also. So you know what? I'm not going to even spoil it. Go to the hub.
Yeah, it's called The Lore of Texas. I wrote it, so you should read it.
Yeah, props.
Awesome.
Scout Johnny Fix, he's still frustrating as victim. We get that he's frustrating, but part of that movement that you're seeing with Johnny is kind of designed into his character. So while we're obviously always looking to hear feedback and potentially tune something like that, it's at this point we're confident in saying that Johnny is not in a place where he's broken. Which I feel like that's an important distinction for the community.
I don't think so either.
Broken versus
personally.
needing, you know, maybe a touch, maybe some tuning. That's kind of why we try to qualify these things that way. You'll see a lot of times fix and testing, tuning, those kinds of things. Let's see. Any plans to bring back player rank in lobbies? No, not at this time. We're pretty confident that the things we're doing are kind of going to create,
Awesome.
you know, kind of a multi-faceted approach toward curbing some of that lobby dodging that you're seeing.
Yeah, we want things to run smoother for players. We want people to be able
That's
to log
all.
into games
That's all that we
as
want.
quickly as they
A
want
smooth
to.
gaming
And that was
experience
some of the changes that were measured and deliberate.
over
and took some time
everything,
think
to be
about it.
honest.
And if anything needs adjusting, you can continue to talk to us about that, and we'll look into tuning if needed. But at the moment, we feel pretty good about that.
Yeah. So the story. Oh, here's a cool one. The stories we hear on the radio, are those a mixture of game lore and actual stories that have happened? No, that's all game lore, actually. So make sure that you're listening to those radio broadcasts that you might catch.
That's so
I did see
cool.
a question about cook skins. Yes, we will have cook skins.
Yes.
We'll have hitchhiker skins. We're going to have skins for everybody. Not just yet. We're focusing on
More
you know,
skins
things we've shared.
confirmed.
When the time comes to talk about those things, we'll get that news out.
A lot of good stuff this
And I'm gonna
broadcast,
hit
huh?
like another question or two. There's been some people asking about you know, hiding maps, a couple things like that. Players are still dodging lobbies. It's not the player level. Again, we have a lot of different things that we're working toward in order to try and help curb that. But it's never going to be just one straightforward thing here or there.
I get
Hopefully
that.
Combined effort of all. Of
Hiding
those
maps, though, not so sure I want that,
And
to be
again,
honest.
rather than go nuclear and come in with some giant hammer and start trying to curb the lobby dodging thing, we think that a more measured approach is going to be the way to do this.
Yeah, we kind of want to have everyone take a feel for what these changes are, how it plays out, what it looks like before we look to.
I mean, the game's still pretty young, all things considered.
Yeah. And then just real quick, I want to get a couple out of the way. Slaughterhouse Valve, that's going upstairs. We talked about that in the last stream. We're moving the tank upstairs. That should make it much more visible. and
No
all of
more
that. Somebody
drop
asked what the
down
new map
valve
is actually
pressure.
Called. It's called Nancy's House. It's her
Ooh,
residence. You'll see a little more
Nancy's
about that.
House,
like I
new
said,
map.
in the coming days. Thank you guys in general. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Yeah,
and let's see. How much will the new characters and skins cost? Well, new characters and skins, it's two different things. New characters, $9.99. Skins, it depends. There's some bundle options and things like that. But all of that information's up on our socials. And just in the name of trying to wrap this up a bit.
I mean, I
who's
personally
the
don't
voice
have
for
a
the
problem
radio
with
fella? I
it, to
believe
be
that's
honest.
Lex Lang, if I'm
But
not
I do
mistaken,
want
and he
unlockables.
also is the voice of Leatherface, believe it or not. Oh, Aaron LaPlante. I was wrong on that. Oh, I hit my mic. I
wonder if
apologize.
we'll
I was
get a
wrong on
battle
that.
pass at
Aaron
some point.
LaPlante does the voice on the radio. So, will
Do
Nancy
you
come
guys
with
want
her
a
own
battle
unique
pass?
Perks? And if so, will new victim perks come as well? Yes, and they come in Danny's tree and Nancy's tree, respectively. More details on that soon. We're going to pretty
Can't
much
wait.
wrap it up here, guys. We're getting a lot of onesie,
All right,
questions
seems like
in
it's
here.
closing in.
We have our past broadcast from the community Q&A, which answered a lot of the things we're seeing here in chat. We're going to be putting that up onto our YouTube channel as well as the past broadcast of this. We'll be able to reference them, you know, stop, pause, get all the answers and all of that. And yeah, like I said, keep an eye out soon. Nancy, Danny, Nancy's house.
For some reason, I can't continue this. It just goes back to the start of the broadcast. Yo, let me know what you guys think. I actually think this is going to be super exciting. I have to head to bed right now. I just wanted to check this out and give this to you guys so that you guys can check it out as well. And let me know your thoughts. Let's discuss it down in the comments. Have a wonderful evening continued, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow for the video. Good night.